An SDG issue for a while in Canada was given to the Department of Environment. It was seen from a very narrow perspective of how it applies to environment. But it was now a whole of government issue in the sense that every piece of legislation, somebody comes out and says, how does this help us in achieving the goals that we were given in the SDGs? Canada participated quite actively at the UN and here at the IPU in developing these development goals. So how do we now implement them? It's not a natural thing for politicians to start thinking about things like the development goals of the UN. A minister, a department, they think about how they're going to be applying the bill, the law, the regulations. We have to bring them back to the fact that this is also part of a bigger picture of trying to fulfill Canada's commitments towards global issues. You don't get elected on global issues, you get elected on campaigning on things that are closer to the people. But we as parliamentarians have that mandate, that duty, that responsibility to put the SDGs always on the agenda. Canada has a national development plan for the SDGs, but again, like I mentioned, it had been given to the Department of Environment. Now it's being shared by ministers. Everybody who has a responsibility in trying to attain these goals is now working together in attaining them. Parliamentary committees, we now have to look at legislation. So the Senate and the House of Commons both look at bills and are trying to see how we can get into a process that automatically, in all legislation, you always think of the communication plan that comes with the bill. You think about how much it's going to cost and what results will come in. We now have to try to ensure that the committees also get into the mindset of how these help attain the development goals. It is a little bit of a difficulty because, like I mentioned, you don't get elected on development goals, but you still have a responsibility towards them.